you for coming back to the show. I am so glad that you decided to join me again as I talk about the most interesting things of my life. Today we are going to talk about what's on everybody's mind and topics of their lives and the TV and break rooms and things of that stuff. The Ukraine and Russia war. Nevertheless, we're going to talk about it. But before I do, I am going to let you know what my drink is today. Guess what it is? White Russian. It said it in the title, right? Of course it did. It said it in the title. It is perfect little drink for what we are going to do today. And we're going to talk about Russia. So let's get into it. Let's really start talking about what these people really trying to say to us, okay? I've been hearing lots of people say that, excuse me, I'm just adjusting. I hear lots of people say that Russia's wrong for starting war. Yes, let me put that out there right now. I do not believe in war. I do not believe in killing people. I do not believe in any of that violence, okay? If you cannot come to an agreement without shooting, killing, or making someone making someone your slave to whatever your cause is, if you can't figure out how to talk to them and come up with some agreements and things like that, then maybe politics ain't for a lot of these people. But let's dig into the why we have war in the Ukraine and in Russia. So let me get a little sip here. Let's get into this really quickly. I did some research, and back in the day, as you guys can see, I'm going to be talking with my hands because I'm a hand talker, you know. But back in the day, Ukraine used to be called the Ukrainian People's Republic. Okay, the Ukrainian People Republic. Got my handy dandy notes here. Okay, in 1917, Ukraine was an independent nation called the Ukrainian People's Republic, and most of the people who lived there, because they so close to Russia, they had a lot of people living there from Russia. They lived on the eastern and southern borders of Ukraine. Okay. And between 1917 and 1921, the Ukraine Republic, People's Republic, was invaded by the Bolshevik people, some people in Russia that was coming up power. And they started a war with the Ukrainians. Well, you know, back then, like everybody else, people don't know how to do nothing but fight. So, of course, they started a war. And they did they did give it to them. I must admit, they was on their asses. And, but by the end, that whole time that was going on, World War I was going on. Okay, also, by the end of World War I, I'll say by the end of January, 1919, which is just a couple of years after the first invasion of the Bolsheviks, okay? The Soviet Union, the Bolsheviks invaded Ukraine in full force in January of 1919, just after the World War I, okay? And Ukraine became part of the USSR, the Union of Soviet Social Republic, better known as Russia, okay? So, as right now, because when I was growing up, it was known as the Soviet Union. And so, yeah. Anywho, the Bolsheviks came into Ukraine, People's Republic, and did what any other country would have done back in the day. They went in there and whipped some butt, decided y'all gonna live under our rule. The USSR sounds more like a submarine or a ship, but nevertheless, the USSR became the Soviet Union. And one of the generals who read about the invasion of the Ukrainian people and how the invasion went and what they did at the time to win this particular war with the Ukrainians, was Joseph Stalin. Hey, Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin was a mess, okay? He was a mess, but he refused to let Ukraine go after the Bolsheviks and everyone before him had managed to keep them within the Union, okay? Now, here's where it gets a little interesting, okay? Joseph Stalin's held power in the Soviet Union from 1922 to 1943. In 1922, he was the General Secretary of the Communist Party for the Soviet Union and the Chairman of the Council of Ministers of the Soviet Union from 1941 to 1953. Okay, initially governing the country as part of a collective leadership, he consolidated all the powers to become a dictator by 1930. So he was a dictator for the Soviet Union, all come together by the 1930s. Okay, he wanted to keep Ukraine pretty much the same way the Bolsheviks kept Ukraine, which was right in the clutches of Russia, because Russia knows the value of Ukraine. In case you guys didn't know, Ukraine is very, very rich in grain, salt, wheat, things that we eat. Things that you're going to see flour and stuff like that go up. Yeah, because we have a lot of it coming from overseas, okay? And they are one of the biggest people, just like Russia is one of the biggest people for energy. Biggest countries for energy. I think they're the third largest for energy. So we get some energy from them. So after Stalin, so mind you, Stalin, the country grew. Ukraine and the Soviet Union grew. I mean, they grew. Stalin made them a powerhouse, okay? He's put them on the map. I mean, basically, now mind you, they say he killed a lot of people in doing that and said he was a terrible dictator. I don't know. I'm just reading what I found out. And it sounds like he could have been kind of extreme and having some issues. But like any other country, the people that was there had to deal with it. And right or wrong, mind you, U.S. wasn't trying to get all up in their business either when Stalin was there. But Stalin did help in World War II, okay, to beat Germany. But nevertheless, he did do a lot of bad things. But the two countries as a whole, which was now really not really a country because Ukraine was folded into the Soviet Union. So as a country in a whole, all these small little places that connected to Russia flourished. They flourished. They had all kind of stuff going on. Okay? After Stalin died in 1953, Nikita Khrushchev, during his reign, Ukraine propelled into Moscow. So mainly they started really connecting themselves to Moscow. All the time, Ukrainian people, I believe, wanted to wanted to be independent, but they didn't know anything different. Now they're all in, this is a long time ago. They were all in the Soviet Union, right? So this was all a long time ago. So they didn't know about independence. The only people that knew about really independence and stuff like that for the country in a whole was probably the older people. And they, each one teach one. So they might have took their children and things like that. So to keep the idea alive. Well, when Nikita, what's his name? Khrushchev, during his reign, he was 1953 to 1964. So then came some people in 1964 to 1982. Okay, it was about 3 other so-called ministers or prime ministers, presidents, whatever you want to call them, that ran the Soviet Union after Stalin's death. But this is where it starts to get really interesting for me, looking at it from the U.S. side of it, okay? So let's fast forward, come 1982. Well, come 1985, let's say 85, I'm sorry, I was off my, let's say 85. Come 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev. I don't know if it's spelled Mikhail, but his name is Gorbachev. Okay, became the Soviet Union's leader in 1985. In 1985, he became leader. Guess what he starts doing? He starts talking to U.S. You know, he's talking to the U.S. and he's liking what Ronald Reagan has to say about stuff. And, you know, he was reigning there. By 1991, they say that by January 1991, the Soviet Union was the largest country in the world, covering over some 8,650 square miles, 22,400,000 square kilometers, nearly 1/6 of the Earth's land surface. Its population number more than 290 million on January 31st, 1990. McDonald's also opened up its first McDonald's in Moscow in 1990. Okay? So, Mikhail Gorbachev gets to be really cozy, starts getting cozy with Ronald and everything. On August 19th and 21st, 1991, a poor effect coup happened. It was carried out by the hardline Communist Party. During this coup, Gorbachev was on house arrest. So, this is what I'm reading is going down, okay? And this is just giving a light history. Everything that I say, you can look at it. And on Encyclopedia Britannica, you can look it up. You can search it on Google. You can on the world history. Everything I'm saying is coming from off there, these places, okay? So I'm not making up stuff to let you know what is going on. So Gorbachev was, you know, doing some things with Ronald Reagan, and he won the Peace Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize for ending the Cold War, okay? Ending the Cold War. My light is going up and down again. I can see it. Anyway, for ending the Cold War, you know, and the Cold War was all about the nuclear missiles that each of us had, the United States and the Soviet Union, okay? Neither one of us supposedly wanted to have these weapons, and being of good faith and good terms, we were going to work this stuff out, okay? And we're going to sign a treaty saying that you dispose of your missiles, we dispose of our missiles. You know, I don't know if we really dispose of ours. I'm just going to be honest with you, because we be lying. You know, everybody be lying these days. Anywho, so we did that little treaty, right? Well, they also was trying to get him to make a more democracy of the Soviet Union. You know, these people pretty much ain't never had a democracy. It's always been a communist country. I mean, the Bolsheviks came in, Stalin came in, now Gorbachev came in, Boris Yeltsin came in, Putin came in, okay? But it's never been a quote unquote democracy. Okay, people came in, they took power, and that was that. But of course, the U.S. want everybody to be like them, a democracy, and let's not even talk about our democracy. I ain't trying to go nowhere because I really love my land, but it ain't even my land, but I love where I am. But anywho, Gorbachev, they tried to get him to do a more democracy. So have elections, to vote. And the next Gorbachev was like, I like y'all. But I don't know about all that, And he wouldn't give up his power so easily. Next thing you know, there's a coup hanging on, right? And the coup was that this man had did something. And I can't really find what exactly he did. But they had him under house arrest, okay? But all while he was on house arrest, they were talking to Boris Yeltsin, okay? So it says here that they reinstated Gorbachev, okay? Yeltsin sat on the sidelines for a while talking back and forth with the U.S. When Gorbachev decided to resign, that's where they said, we can get Boris Yeltsin in play. Because Boris had been talking with the U.S. And the U.S. had been getting Boris to look at, possibly making it more democracy, letting us put some people, letting us put some stuff around and getting some things going on, right? Boris, he been from the communist era too. He was like, he actually held them off for a while. But in the same token, he's the one who decided, all of them decided to make Ukraine into a country, an independent country of its own, but not without stipulations, okay? So once they decided to give, Crimea, Ukraine, Georgia, their own, what do you want to call it? Their own country, sorry about that, their own country, then, everything else, all else was off for the United States. Shoot. Basically, they said, you're a country. Oh, but I forgot to tell you, and this is where it gets real interesting, okay? In my opinion, like a soap opera to me. Like a soap opera. It gets real interesting for the simple reason that Ukraine, when it was part of the Soviet Union, went to NATO and asked NATO, could they help them become an independent? NATO said, no, you cannot. We can't do it. You're a dependent of Russia. Nope, we can't do it. When the Soviet Union collapsed, they decided to dismantle and hope for a better union with the Eastern Europeans. The Soviet Union, in December of 1991, had dismantled. All of a sudden, it's just gone. This empire of a place that started back in 1917 is now gone and being dispersed. Okay, cool. I mean, everybody deserves his chance, right? But Ukraine has a really very important role to Russia. Russia feels like Ukraine, and this is Putin, and you have to remember Putin right now is a child of the Soviet Union. People's like, oh my God, the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union and their communists, no matter what they say, they are very proud people over there. You know, just like we are Americans and we're very proud people here, they are very proud people. And yes, they went through their stuff with their dictators, but then again, Germany went through their stuff with their dictators. We go through our stuff with our president, and none of us can't stop the shit that's going on. We have racism right now that can't be stopped. It's been coming on ever since God knows how long, since slavery that I know of. And yet, from blacks to whites to Puerto Ricans to Hispanic, whatever, Chinese, whatever you are, there's always some kind of prejudice here in the States for you. Anywho, they're very proud people over in Russia. And they believe that growing up in the Soviet Union era, they believe that Ukraine is part of Russia because it has been part of Russia since 1917. And it ain't too many people from 1917 that is still alive to testify to say that they wasn't ever part of the Soviet Union. So after 1991, December of 1991, it was no longer the Soviet Union. Now it's called Russia. Okay? The Russian Federation. Yeltsin now had to deal with Gorbachev messed up period from 1991 to 1999 when he resigned. What that means is he had to figure out how to deal with Russia, how to deal with Ukraine, and how to deal with Crimea and Georgia. Okay, these other little places. Figure that out. There are some other places. I want to say Lithuania. Lithuania was one of those places actually too that was part of the Soviet Union. Okay. Ukraine's survival, they said, is based off of Russia. And Russia has a very big stake in Ukraine. Okay? Russian national security interests in Ukraine includes culture, language, the strong Russian diaspora on the Crimean Peninsula. We're going to look that word up. diaspora. I will look it up. On the Crimean border, Peninsula, as well as the eastern Ukraine, extensive economic links, defense industry, agriculture, energy, and military warning radar systems basing right at the Sevastopol, whatever the name of that sea is, Black Sea Fleet, and Ukraine's strategic and critical geographical location. So basically, they're important to Russia because Portland is adjacent to Ukraine. Ukraine, this little bitty base, is adjacent to Russia. Russia, when they collapsed the Soviet Union, said that Ukraine agreed that Ukraine would stay neutral, be a neutral, because they have such a mixed culture of Russian and Ukrainians, plus all the, the things that they have for themselves, the benefits of themselves. They didn't want us, the U.S., to be on their borders. So yeah, we'll give you your independence back, but this is how it has to be. Hey, everybody was like, cool, yeah, pound, we got this. We're finally independent, right? But guess what starts happening? Well, from what I understand started happening, Ukraine started getting cozy with the U.S. And they had a coup where they took out the gentleman that was the neutral party in Ukraine, keeping them, they took him out and put in another individual who you see today as the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. Okay? Why is Zelensky in there? Zelensky is pro-NATO. Not pro-neutral, but pro-NATO. He wants to be part of NATO, which NATO, in my opinion, should not be there anymore once the Soviet Union had collapsed. Did y'all know that Putin wanted to be part of NATO and they told him no, pretty much? But yeah, that's how we are. But even after they didn't want to sign the long range missile agreement anymore that they had been signed way back when the U.S. and the Soviet Union, Russia, signed saying that we will no longer make long-range missiles that can hit your territory or hit our territory. We will no longer make that. I want to say I have the name of that treaty. I want to say that I do, but I can't remember it, you know. But they signed it a long time ago. And then right at 9/11 happened, guess who said he didn't want to do it? Bush said he didn't want to re-sign it. Gorbachev was not a very happy camper with that. But, you know, he understood. He thought he may have to use the missiles and stuff like that. So he was like, cool, I understand. I'll even help you, you know, let you set up on my land, my territory, our territory over here, to help you with your humanitarian stuff, getting your, you know, things over to where you need to go. America said, U.S. said, yay, thanks, we like when we can work together. And he said, well, maybe we could go, you know, after this, we can look into NATO. And he was like, nah, well, yeah, okay, we'll talk about it. Guess who never talked about it? What they do is they start talking to Ukraine. So the president before Zelensky, what is his name? I forgot his name. But the president before Zelensky, or prime minister, or whatever you guys want to call him, man in charge before Zelensky, he was fairly neutral. And he was okay. The U.S. talked to him too, but he wasn't trying to give up power either. So a coup was done. Blah, blah, blah. And this man, who was staying neutral, has now ran to Russia to be safe. And the people that are in Ukraine that are speaking Russian and doesn't mind Russia, you know, and it's cool with Russia, they are now getting attacked by their own military, which is a private military inside of a military. Yes. Crazy. I know, right? So this all happens. The coup goes on. Zelensky gets in as a president. Zelensky starts talking to NATO. He says he wants to be part of it now, and now the U.S. got somebody in there that they could work with. They're like, yeah, we can look into, you know, y'all done got rid of y'all missiles because we had a treaty saying if y'all with Gorbachev, if you get rid of your missiles, we'll get rid of ours. Yeah, so y'all got rid of your missiles, so we ain't got no worry there, so that's good. And then they told them that, you know, you gotta just wait it out. You gotta see what we could do. Next thing you know, they couldn't get to the guy that was in there before Zelensky. And when they got him out, Zelensky was in, and they was like, now we got somebody in that we can really work with. And then, you know, so Big Brother over here, we just talking in the air. Yeah, you know how you is at school. It's so weird because, you know, when you at school, you got that hype man. It's like, nah, he can't do nothing to you. Nah, he can't do nothing to you. Nah, man, F him. He ain't got nothing. And then when Big Boy come out, which is Russia, tap that ass. Yo, hype man's like, oh, dude, we ain't say we're gonna fight them with you. We said we got your back from back here in the States. We'll send some aid. We'll even send you some more ammunition. You pay us later for it because, you know, we're giving it to you. We're going to even send you some humanitarian stuff. But we not going to fight. No, I didn't say we were going to fight. I said we had your back. Yeah, not me. No. So now Zelensky is up there like, help, please help. You know, we are resilient people. But you forgot, Zelensky, that you were talking to your neighbor's enemy, so-called enemy, because I don't feel like I'm an enemy of Russia. I understand that that's the way of their life over there. I understand Ukraine. That's the way of their life over there. Heck, I understand here. This is the way of our life. But what I'm saying is that Ukraine should have kept its mouth shut, stayed neutral in my opinion. Russia should have learned how to stop playing so unfair and always got to be bullying up on people to make them feel like they got to do something. And U.S. need to mind their damn business. Let that happen. We can't even get Congress or the Senate to approve another stimulus check. Quite a few of them. Stimulus check. But we can come up with billions of dollars of humanitarian money and aid. Gas is going up to $5 and something, and we cannot get a stimulus check? But you got, and then you got to bring over there and bring some here? And then you got to take care of them? And then you don't even, okay. Okay. And that's fine. But that is the history. Okay? That is the history of Ukraine in the nutshell and Russia in the nutshell. There's so much more. There's so much more to hear. Like in 1993, the U.S. took an active interest in the negotiations of the Ukrainian nuclear disarmament. They wanted to get those missiles off of the border so Russia can't use them. You know? They want to put us there. Do you know we have over 700 something bases outside of the U.S.? We's a big powerhouse, but we's a big bully. We are a big powerhouse. And there would be no place else I would rather be than in this powerhouse. But let me tell you, as ludicrous to say, someone is always looking for the number one spot. They coming. And Putin, to be honest with you, Putin seemed like he up for the chance. He up for the challenge. He like, but the sad part about his people, and then I'm going to let y'all go because this is like 30 minutes of me rambling on about the freaking way that Russia and the U.S. and Ukraine is happening. But I'm going to say this to you. War is never an answer, okay? War to me is never an answer. But if it is, and the people who go to war and start the war usually has the advantage. They done thought this out. And this is all I can say about this. Putin, I don't feel crazy. Everybody says, that man is crazy. He's losing. This man is not crazy. This man is ex-KGB from the Soviet Union era. This man has read books that Stalin and all the rest of these other people have read. He has read these. He has talked to China about what if they sanction us, what's going to, American people, or anybody who's watching this, take the regular news with a grain of salt and you do your own research. Okay? That's all I got to say. Do your own research before you start going, oh, poor Ukrainian people. Start saying poor people at home. Poor United States people. Poor United States people. Say that. Do a GoFund for the people here. Yes, they are at war. Send your prayers and blessings and keep the light open for them. But take care of your home. We're about to suffer. We are about to go through some stuff. And if y'all ain't ready, I tell you, glass and bottle, gonna let you know. That white Russian is good. I have so much stuff that I could tell you about for this. But until next time, this is Marshall with Glass or Bottle. And thank you so much for watching me. Have a white Russian night in honor of the Ukrainians that are being suffered and the Russian people that are suffering and the people of the United States that are suffering like me. I am suffering with this gas prices and the milk and the bread and everything else. Till next time, see ya. Cheers to another week. Glass or bottle.